While they often seem larger than life and untouchable, athletes of all ages from around the world are not immortal. These are the talented and unforgettable athletes the world has lost in 2023. Ken Block wasn't the type of guy who could sit behind a desk for long. A decade after co-founding DC Shoes in 1994, Block sold his share in the skater apparel company, and in 2005, he began his national rallying career as a member of the Vermont sports car team. Block was a 5-time X Games medalist in rallycross within 5 years of first driving a rally car.
He didn't start racing rally until he was 36. That's usually the age most people retire from rally.
Block's interests aligned with racing both as a driver and as a businessman. He co-owned Hoonigan Industries, an auto enthusiast brand. But while he was incredibly successful in the apparel industry, his true passions were competition and sports. In addition to rallying, he was an avid snowboard, motocross, and skateboard enthusiast. Sadly, his love of snowmobiling ultimately cost him his life. On January 2, 2023, Block was in an accident while riding a snowmobile in Utah. According to the Wasatch County Sheriff's Office, Block's snowmobile upended and landed on top of him on a steep hill. The 55-year-old was pronounced dead at the scene. Italian football star Gianluca Vialli began his career playing for Italy's Serie C1 club Cremonese in 1980. His skills on the field elevated him to Serie B, and he was promoted to the Serie A Sampdoria FC in 1984 and scored 10 goals as a winger in the 83-84 season. Before long, Vialli was the league's top scorer, and he helped the team win numerous international championships. In 1992, Vialli joined Juventus FC, where he dominated for several seasons, amassing 38 goals with the team. Vialli joined Chelsea in 1996. The team won the FA Cup that season. Vialli retired in 1999. After hanging up his cleats, Vialli worked as the player manager for Chelsea. He eventually became Italy's delegation chief, but had to step away in late 2022 due to pancreatic cancer. Vialli said in a statement, "At the end of a long and difficult negotiation with my wonderful team of oncologists, I have decided to suspend, hopefully temporarily, my present and future professional commitments." Vialli died on January 6, 2023 at the age of 58. Upon the news of his death, Chelsea FC tweeted, "You'll be missed by so many, a legend to us and to all of football. Rest in peace, Gianluca Vialli." Robbie Knievel didn't take long to follow in his father Evel Knievel's footsteps. By the age of 4, he was already making small jumps on his bicycle. He began riding motorcycles at 7. When he was 8, he began touring with his dad, performing in pre-shows to hype the crowd. Finally, he launched a solo career and emulated many of his father's most famous jumps.
He would sit in the ambulance and tell me and my brother, "Look at me," he'd be busted up. "I'd never want you to do this."
Knievel's career played out much like his famous father's, though he primarily rode motocross bikes, not motorcycles. Knievel accomplished several high-profile jumps, including a death-defying leap across the Grand Canyon in 1999, hopping from one floating barge to the next in 2006, and in 2008 jumping over 24 Coke Zero trucks. He earned an impressive 20 world records and made 350 jumps over his lifetime. Knievel underwent treatment for pancreatic cancer but died in hospice on January 13, 2023, at the age of 60. Gino Odjick got into hockey at an early age. At 11, he joined a Pee-wee team in his native Maniwaki, Quebec. As a teenager, he joined Ontario's Hawkesbury Hawks. He picked up the nickname the Algonquin Assassin, referencing his First Nation heritage and upbringing on the Kitigan-Zibi Reserve, as well as his strength as a fighter. He was also known as the Maniwaki Mauler. Odjick was drafted by the Vancouver Canucks in the 1990 NHL entry draft. Odjick was an enforcer, wasting no time throwing down his gloves to help a fellow teammate.
Teammates stood taller and skated freer, knowing Gino always had their back.
He racked up hundreds of penalty minutes with Vancouver, and by the time he retired in 2002, he'd played for the New York Islanders, the Philadelphia Flyers, and the Montreal Canadiens. After a heart attack in 2014, Odjick was diagnosed with amyloidosis, a blood disorder that eventually hardens the heart with protein deposits. While he initially recovered from the disease, his amyloidosis returned in 2020. Odjick had another heart attack, which resulted in his January 15, 2023 death at the age of 52. Jay Briscoe made his professional wrestling debut when he was 16. He primarily wrestled in tag team matches alongside his brother Mark, and the two became known as the Briscoe brothers. They wrestled for Combat Zone Wrestling for most of the early 2000s. They simultaneously wrestled for Jersey All Pro Wrestling and found considerable fame with Ring of Honor. The Briscoe brothers wrestled for more than 22 years together. They're regarded as one of the all-time best tag teams in professional wrestling history. They were inducted into the Ring of Honor Hall of Fame's inaugural class. Unfortunately, Jay wrote a violent homophobic tweet in 2013. He apologized for his behavior more than once, and the brothers discussed it in 2022 on Battleground Podcast.
I said some dumb shit a long time ago. I apologize for it, and I'll apologize for it again.
On January 17, 2023, Jay was killed in a car accident. Ring of Honor president Tony Khan broke the news on Twitter, posting, "Jay and his brother Mark dominated ROH, reigning as champions to this day. We'll do whatever we can to support his family. Rest in peace." Anton Walkes excelled at Tottenham Hotspur, where he became a full-time scholar in 2013, first signed a pro contract in 2015, and debuted on the team in September 2016, helping lead them to a 5-0 victory over Gillingham. He was loaned to Atlanta United and then to Portsmouth, playing 3 seasons for each team. He returned to play with Atlanta United after leaving Portsmouth and was signed by Charlotte FC in 2022. He played in 23 games for the team before his untimely death. On January 18, 2023, Walkes was in South Florida for a 12-day training camp when he was seriously injured in a boat accident. The personal watercraft Walkes was riding collided with a 46-foot boat. Walkes, just 25, died from his injuries the following day. Charlotte FC owner David Tepper made a statement following Walkes' death, writing, "He was a tremendous son, father, partner, and teammate whose joyous approach to life touched everyone he met. Anton made those around him better people in all areas of life and represented Charlotte FC to the highest standard, both on and off the pitch." Jessie Lemonier played football at Liberty University and helped lead the Flames to their first ever bowl game and was the MVP of the 2019 Cure Bowl. As a pro, Lemonier played outside linebacker and was signed by the Los Angeles Chargers as a free agent in April 2020. While playing for the Chargers, he went back and forth between the active roster and the practice squad, playing 6 games for the team. After being released by the Chargers, Lemonier played for the Detroit Lions in 2021, got waived, went to the Arizona Cardinals, but was eventually released. Finally, the linebacker was signed by the USFL's Houston Gamblers, then traded to the Birmingham Stallions. On January 26, 2023, Lemonier died of unspecified causes at the age of 25. The details of his death have not been released to the public. Regardless, Lemonier's passing was unexpected and occurred when he and his girlfriend were expecting a baby. The Detroit Lions honored him on Twitter, writing, "We are shocked and saddened to learn of the passing of former Detroit Lion Jessie Lemonier. Jessie was a model teammate and wonderful young man who is gone far too soon. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family and friends during this difficult time." Lemonier died just days shy of his 26th birthday. Kyle Smaine was a freestyle skier who took the gold at the International Ski Federation Freestyle Ski and Snowboarding World Championships in 2015. The Federation's report of the event said, Smaine put down a near-perfect first run stocked front to back with technical tricks and all done at an amplitude and with a style that clearly no one else could match. Smaine's skills on the slopes took him all over the world. In early 2023, he left his native South Lake Tahoe, California mountains for the Tsukaike Mountain Resort in Nagano, Japan. Smaine went to ski and promote winter tourism following the decline resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic. In an Instagram post, Grant Gunderson, a photographer who accompanied Smaine, recalled, "It was supposed to be the last day of the trip, so we were just out for a mellow tour to free ski, as we had one of the best days ever skiing and shooting the day before." Gunderson skied to the lodge to rest, leaving Smaine, their friend Adam Yu, and an Austrian skier named Christoph Schofiger on the slopes. While they were skiing, tragedy struck. As Yu, the sole survivor, described to the Mountain Gazette, "We heard the crack, we realized it was a big one, we started running, and then we got hit." The avalanche buried them. Smaine was found unresponsive, and efforts to revive him were unsuccessful. He died on January 29, 2023, at the age of 31. Bobby the Golden Jet Hull began playing hockey as a kid in Ontario. He debuted with the NHL in 1957 when he joined the Chicago Blackhawks. He led the league in both goals and point scoring for 3 seasons, and in 1961 he helped them win the Stanley Cup. Hull was the first NHL player to score over 50 goals in a single season.
I was playing the game that I loved, in the city that I loved, in front of the greatest fans that ever watched hockey.
In 1972, Hull signed as both coach and player with the Winnipeg Jets, a World Hockey Association team, for an unprecedented $1.75 million, over $12 million in 2023. Hull finished his playing career with the Hartford Whalers in 1980, which put him on the same team as Gordie Howe. After retirement, Hull's number 9 jersey was retired, and he became the figurehead commissioner of the WHA. Hull had an exceptionally fast slap shot, scored 610 career goals in the NHL, and was one of the greatest players in professional hockey. Unfortunately, Hull's personal choices were more problematic. Over the years, he was arrested for assaulting a police officer, allegedly assaulted 2 of his wives, and expressed backward views, including allegedly that he thought Adolf Hitler had some good ideas. On January 30th, 2023, Hull died at 84. Hull's cause of death has not been made public. Catcher Tim McCarver joined the St. Louis Cardinals in 1959 at the age of 18 for $75,000, more than $775,000 today. He spent most of his career with the Cardinals, including 3 appearances in the World Series, 2 of which they won. A 2-time All-Star, he was elected to the Cardinals Hall of Fame in 2017. In 1980, McCarver shifted to broadcasting, working as a color commentator. He started in Philadelphia and went on to become a national network broadcaster. His television trajectory was as impressive as his playing. McCarver won 3 Emmy Awards and called 20 All-Star games and 23 World Series. Of course, McCarver didn't please everyone, and after criticizing Deion Sanders at the 1992 National League Championship Series, the player dumped ice water on McCarver's head. McCarver possessed many talents. In 2009, he released Tim McCarver Sings selections from the Great American Songbook. He penned a memoir in 1987 called Oh Baby, I Love It, and also appeared on screen playing himself in Fever Pitch and voicing the role of an announcer in Moneyball. On February 16, 2023, at the age of 81, McCarver died of heart failure. Christian Atsu grew up in poverty in Ghana alongside his 10 siblings. He began playing soccer when he was young, and with the help of his brother, he practiced with an eye on becoming a professional player. He trained so hard that he missed his father's passing, which was difficult for the young athlete. But his work paid off when he was brought on as a winger for FC Porto in 2011. He played for Porto until 2013 when Chelsea FC signed him for approximately $4.3 million. Chelsea loaned him out to several teams before he signed with Newcastle and played with them until 2021. Atsu played internationally for Ghana and did well on the world stage. He was known for his philanthropy, helping children who grew up in the same situation as he did. He once told The Independent, "I will not allow these kids to go to the same situation as I went to. We have to do everything possible to help these kids, to provide food, water, everything, and give them shelter." Atsu was in Antakya, Turkey on February 6, 2023 when a deadly earthquake struck the area. The 2023 Turkey-Syria earthquake caused widespread damage, displaced millions, and claimed tens of thousands of lives. Sadly, Atsu was among the dead, having been in the Hatayspor FC's headquarters, which was reduced to rubble. His body was recovered on February 18th. Atsu was 31. Joe Pepitone began his professional baseball career with the New York Yankees in 1958. He was sent to the minor leagues for 4 seasons before being brought up to the majors. He played first base during the 1963 season, which was also the first year he went to the World Series.
They called it the $1 million infield.
Wow.
I guess today we call it the $200 million infield.
It was the Yankees versus the Los Angeles Dodgers, and Pepitone made a costly error in Game 4 that clinched the win for the other team. He fared better in the '64 World Series, hitting a grand slam in Game 6, although ultimately the Yankees lost the series to the St. Louis Cardinals. Pepitone won 3 Gold Glove awards with the Yankees, but was traded to the Houston Astros in 1969. He wasn't happy there and came close to retiring before he was sent to the Chicago Cubs and then the Atlanta Braves. Instead of packing it in, Pepitone shipped himself off to Japan to play a season with the Yakult Adams. He returned to the States the following year and officially retired from baseball. But Pepitone still wasn't done. He published a memoir and joined the American Professional Slow Pitch League to play professional softball. Eventually, Pepitone got into coaching and was hired as a minor league hitting coach for the Yankees. Throughout the 1980s and early 90s, he had several run-ins with the law, mostly over drug and alcohol abuse. Eventually, he spent time in prison. On March 13, 2023, the Yankees announced that Pepitone had died at the age of 82. No cause of death was given. Willis Reed played for Grambling State University in Louisiana, where he led the team to 3 championships. After graduating in 1964, Reed was drafted by the New York Knicks, where he would remain for 10 seasons. While playing with the Knicks, Reed earned numerous accolades.
I think we see Willis coming out. Here comes Willis. And
He was a 7-time NBA All-Star, an NBA MVP, and a 2-time NBA champion. Eventually, Reed was sidelined by injuries, and he retired at the end of the 1973-74 season, having played 650 games in the league. When his playing days were over, Reed began a second career as a coach. He started with the Knicks, but only spent a single season with the team. Reed went on to coach several teams, including working as an assistant coach for the Atlanta Hawks and Sacramento Kings. He ended his coaching career with the New Jersey Nets in 1989. Reed then moved into management, becoming the general manager for the New Jersey Nets. Reed became the team's vice president of basketball operations before ultimately becoming the senior vice president of basketball operations. On his watch, the Nets twice made it to the NBA Finals. On March 21, 2023, the NBA alumni Twitter account announced, "The basketball community has lost a legend. Our hearts are with the family, friends, and fans of Willis Reed." Later, sports columnist Peter Vesey revealed on Twitter that Reed died of congestive heart issues. Raymond Sawada began playing hockey at an early age, and after helping his Pacific International Junior Hockey League team, the Richmond Sockeyes, to the championship in 2003, he made the leap to playing semi-professionally. Sawada was picked up by the Nanaimo Clippers of the British Columbia Hockey League and played a full season with the team. He played for the Cornell Big Red team, and soon after he was drafted by the Dallas Stars, at last transitioning to the American Hockey League in 2007. Throughout his career, Sawada only played in 11 NHL games. Most of his career was spent playing in the American Hockey League for the Iowa Stars, Manitoba Moose, the Texas Stars, and the St. John's Ice Caps. Sawada went on to play for the Colorado Eagles, the Tapara Tampere, and the Belfast Giants. After the 2016 season, Sawada moved to Richmond, British Columbia, Canada. In retirement, he became a firefighter for Burnaby, British Columbia, Canada, but he continued to play ice hockey for fun. On April 10, 2023, Sawada was playing hockey with the Richmond Cowboys, a recreational league team, when he had a heart attack. According to the Richmond News, Sawada died on the ice. He was 38. Noel Hanna achieved many impressive feats throughout the course of his life, having summited Mount Everest a whopping 10 times. In 2018, he was also the first person from Ireland to summit and descend K2.
Time to go and leave the summit of K2 behind. Bye.
Hanna was celebrated in his native Northern Ireland for his incredible mountain climbing skills. He spent much of his life clinging to rocks and ice at death-defying heights. Sadly, his life came to an end on April 18, 2023, while spending time on Annapurna in Nepal, the 10th highest peak in the world. While the 56-year-old Hanna's cause of death wasn't clear, he died at Camp 4 while making his descent from the peak. He had already summited the 26,545-foot peak before dying sometime overnight on the 18th. Hanna's body was recovered and flown to Kathmandu, Nepal. According to hiking officials, at least 365 people have summited Annapurna, but 72 climbers have died on the mountain. Hanna's sister, Irene Hunter, told BBC News that her brother's body would be flown to Finnis, Northern Ireland, near the Mourne Mountains, which is where his climbing career began decades earlier. She called him a legend and said his life was the mountains, adding that, "My brother loved a view and he just loved people." Others described Hanna as a humble man who, despite being encouraged to write a book about his exploits, was modest about his achievements. Mike Shannon excelled in football, basketball, and baseball throughout high school, but the gridiron dominated his life. Shannon attended the University of Missouri on a football scholarship to play quarterback. He played for the team during his freshman year and was offered a $50,000 bonus to join the St. Louis Cardinals, which he ultimately did in 1962. At the time, football players weren't making much money, and while Shannon considered himself to be a better football player, he ultimately settled on baseball. Shannon played with the Cardinals, first as the right fielder and later as the third baseman. He appeared in 3 World Series, winning 2, and remained with the team until his retirement in 1970. At that time, Shannon began his second career, which he's arguably best known for today. In 1972, Shannon became the Cardinals' radio broadcaster and remained in the job until 2021. He holds the distinction of calling Cardinals games longer than anyone else, with 50 years under his belt.
Mike Shannon is not only the voice of the Cardinals, he's the living embodiment of the franchise.
Shannon announced his retirement in 2021 on his 50th anniversary, and later that year, the Cardinals honored him with a farewell ceremony. His retirement announcement came soon after he had a severe case of coronavirus the previous fall. Shannon developed long COVID, requiring physical therapy long after recovering from the infection. On April 29, 2023, Shannon died at the age of 83. His cause of death was not made public. Larry Gator Rivers first became enamored with the Harlem Globetrotters when he saw the Harlem Globetrotters movie at the age of 7. From there, he developed his own unique style, though he took a lot of inspiration from Marcus Haynes' dribbling skills. He told the New York Daily News, "I knew that was what I was going to do. I took my ball with me everywhere, dribbled it every place." Rivers excelled at basketball through his high school years, and while he received many scholarship offers, he set his sights on Missouri Western. Rivers' plan was never to score an NBA draft pick, telling the Daily News in 1982, "It was always the Trotters, not the NBA." True to his word, Rivers tried out for the Globetrotters in 1973 and was welcomed onto the team. His dribbling skills set him apart, making him a shoo-in, although he was the shortest member of the team, standing only 6 feet tall. Rivers played with the Globetrotters on and off and coached the team until 1986. In addition to playing ball, Rivers ran for and won the District 2 seat at the Chatham County Commission in Georgia in 2021. In his later years, Rivers became active with his community in Savannah, Georgia. He volunteered at local schools, helped promote rebuilding basketball courts, and opened a nonprofit mentorship organization called Gatorball Academy. You can guess what he taught children there. On April 29, 2023, Rivers died of cancer at a hospital in Savannah. He was 73. Tori Bowie began running track in high school, and she won the Mississippi State Championships in both the 100-meter and long jump during her junior year. When she was a senior, she won the same categories in the state championships and added the 200-meter race to her resume. Bowie dominated high school track and participated in various events, winning numerous accolades. After high school, Bowie accepted an athletic scholarship to the University of Southern Mississippi, where she represented her school in NCAA Division I competitions. College opened a lot of doors for Bowie, who went on to compete professionally in 2013. She began making waves at various national and international championships, gaining lots of attention. In 2016, she represented the U.S. at the Summer Olympics in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, where she took home the silver in the 100-meter dash. She also won a gold and bronze medal, and the following year at the 2017 London World Championships, she took home 2 gold medals.
The journey will not be easy, not even close to being easy.
Bowie went on to earn a sponsorship from Adidas, and she appeared in various documentaries. She was even becoming a fashion icon. But on May 2, 2023, Bowie was found dead at the age of 32. According to People, she hadn't been heard from or seen for several days, so a wellness check was conducted by the Orange County Sheriff's Office, who found her body in her home. While no foul play was suspected, neither authorities nor Bowie's family disclosed her cause of death.